It always seems to start with something small, doesn't it? Like the dishwasher. You see a cup on the counter sitting right next to the empty dishwasher and you feel that familiar knot of frustration. How hard is it to just put it in, you think? So you say something and your partner gets defensive. Suddenly, you're in a full-blown argument that has nothing to do with a cup and everything to do with feeling disrespected, unheard, or unloved. If you feel like you're trapped in this cycle of endless bickering that's chipping away at your marriage, what you need isn't to stop disagreeing. It's to learn a new way to talk about what's really going on. Because those small arguments are almost never about the small thing. They're flares lighting up deeper emotional needs. And today, I'm going to show you a simple framework inspired by evidence-based therapy that doesn't just stop the fight, but helps you figure out why you were arguing in the first place. Section 1, the real reason you're fighting. Most couples don't fight because they've fallen out of love. They fight because they get stuck in a destructive pattern. It's a loop that therapists and researchers see all the time, and we can understand it using ideas from a powerful psychological approach called Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, or CBT. CBT is built on the idea that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours are all interconnected. A simplified way to look at it is this: an event happens, we have a thought about it. That thought creates a feeling, and the feeling drives our action. In reality, these things all influence each other at once. But thinking about it this way is a great way to start untangling our arguments. Let's go back to the cup on the counter. The event, seeing the cup, is neutral. It's just a fact. The problem isn't the cup. It's the automatic thought that fires off in your brain. You probably don't think there is a cup. You're more likely to think they don't respect me. Or, I guess I'm the only one who does anything around here. That single thought, that interpretation is what sparks the feeling: anger, frustration, resentment, loneliness, and that feeling is what fuels the action: the sarcastic comment, the heavy sigh, the accusation. Why do you always do this? And just like that, the cycle is off and running. Your partner, feeling attacked, or doesn't hear a complaint about a cup, they hear a judgment of their character. So they get defensive, they shut down or fire back, and now you're in a loop, an argument that just gets bigger until you both feel hurt and disconnected. The goal isn't to pretend the cup doesn't bother you. The goal is to interrupt this cycle before it hijacks your whole evening. Section 2, the 3-step framework to break the cycle. This is where you can use some practical tools inspired by CBT to break this pattern. It's a simple 3-step method: pause, reframe, request. Step 1, the pause. Recognize the feeling. Have you ever been in an argument where your heart starts pounding, your face gets hot, and you can't even think straight? That's a real biological response called emotional flooding. Your body is getting swamped with stress hormones, kicking in your fight or flight response. Your brain literally starts to perceive the conflict as a threat. When you're flooded, your ability to think rationally and listen with empathy basically goes offline. The single most important thing you can do in that moment is stop. Recognize the physical signs: the racing heart, the tense muscles, the raised voice. This is your body's alarm bell telling you things are about to go off the rails. Continuing an argument while flooded is completely pointless. You and your partner need to agree on a way to take a break. This isn't about storming off or giving the silent treatment. It's a strategic timeout to let your nervous systems calm down. Here's a script you can agree on beforehand. I really want to figure this out with you, but I'm too upset to think clearly right now. Can we please take a break for 20 minutes and then come back to this? The rules are simple. You have to agree on a time to return, and you have to use the break to self-soothe, not to build a bigger case or rehearse your next attack. Take a walk, listen to some music, do some deep breathing, aim for at least 20 minutes, which is generally how long it takes for that physiological stress to subside. For some, it might take a bit longer. The goal is to come back as partners, not opponents. Step 2, the reframe, challenge the thought. During your pause, you can practice the core skill of CBT, challenging your automatic thoughts. Remember that first thought is just an interpretation, it's not a fact. Most of our fights are fueled by what are called cognitive distortions, common thinking traps our brains fall into under stress. Things like mind reading, assuming you know exactly what your partner is thinking. You did that on purpose just to annoy me. All or nothing thinking, using absolutist words like always and never. You never help around the house. You always put work before me. Catastrophizing, thinking the worst case scenario is a foregone conclusion. This one fight means our marriage is doomed. The way to fight these distortions is to become a detective of your own thoughts. Ask yourself one simple question. What story am I telling myself right now? Let's apply it. The story you're telling yourself about the cup is, my partner doesn't respect me or my time. Now challenge that story. Ask, is that 100% true? Is there any other possible explanation? Maybe they were running late. Maybe they got a distracting phone call and just forgot. Maybe they were literally about to come back and put it away. Reframing isn't about letting them off the hook or pretending you're okay with the cup being there. It's about separating the action from your partner's character. The action is, a cup was left on the counter. The meaning is not automatically, I am unloved. This small shift is incredibly powerful. It moves you from a place of accusation to a place of curiosity. Step 3, the request. Use a better script. Now that you've paused and reframed, you can re-engage with your partner in a way that actually solves the problem. The key is to complain without blaming, and the best tool for this is the I statement. You statements often sound like attacks and trigger defensiveness. For example, you are so messy, or you never think about me. I statements, on the other hand, take ownership of your feelings and clearly state what you need. They build connection instead of creating conflict. The formula is simple. I feel blank when blank because blank I need or request blank. Let's look at the before and after, the harsh startup. Why is your cup on the counter again? You're so inconsiderate. You just expect me to clean up after you. This is full of blame and judgment. Your partner's only real options are to fight back or shut down. Now, the soft startup. Hey, I feel frustrated when I see dishes left on the counter because it makes me feel like the responsibility for keeping the house tidy falls only on me. I would really appreciate it if we could both make sure to put them straight in the dishwasher. Can you feel the difference? The first is an attack. The second is an invitation to solve a problem together. It shares your feeling, describes the specific neutral situation, explains the impact on you, and makes a clear positive request. This approach, which relationship expert John Gottman calls a soft startup, is a key predictor of whether a difficult conversation will succeed or fail. Section 3, putting it all together, the transformation. So, let's replay that scene one more time, but this time with our new tools. You walk into the kitchen, you see the cup, you feel that flash of anger, but this time something's different. You pause, you take a breath, you recognize that feeling as your body's alarm bell. Instead of snapping, you walk into the other room for a minute to let that initial wave of flooding pass. While you're breathing, you reframe. You ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself? The story is, he doesn't care. You challenge it. Is that really true? Or was he just busy? It's just a cup. The story I'm telling myself isn't necessarily the reality. a little while later, when you're both calm, you make a request. Hey, Oni, can I talk to you for a second? I feel a little overwhelmed when I'm trying to keep the kitchen clean and I see dishes on the counter. It would really help me out if we could make a pact to put them away right after we use them. Your partner not feeling attacked is far more likely to respond with understanding. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I was in a total rush this morning. I'll make sure to get it. No fight, no drama. The problem is handled. And more importantly, you feel connected. You just turned a potential conflict into a moment of teamwork. Now, is this guaranteed to work every single time? Of course not. Your partner is a human being, not a robot. But you've made it so much easier for them to hear you and respond as your partner, not your opponent. I have to be really clear about this. These tools are incredibly effective for couples who are dealing with normal communication breakdowns and recurring arguments. However, this framework is not a substitute for professional help in situations involving emotional abuse, coercive control, chronic contempt, or deep-seated trauma. If your arguments regularly feel unsafe or you feel intimidated by your partner, please seek support from a qualified therapist or counsellor. Conclusion. Arguing in a marriage doesn't mean your relationship is broken. It usually just means you're stuck in a bad pattern. By learning to break that pattern with these 3 steps, pause, reframe, request, you can stop fighting about the small stuff and start having the real conversations. You can shift from being adversaries in a conflict to being partners in solving a problem. So here's a challenge for you this week. Try just one of these steps. Maybe it's simply noticing when you're getting flooded and taking that 20-minute break. Or maybe it's catching a you statement and turning it into an I statement. Try it and then come back and let me know how it went in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear about your experiences, and I read every single one. And finally, if this was helpful and you want more practical research-backed strategies for building a stronger, more connected marriage, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next.